Attractive people. What are some negative things about being good looking? Story 1. Men often seem to be immediately smitten by me, thinking they're in love at first sight, but after a while their interests fade when they see I'm just a normal person with my flaws. They realize I'm not the perfect girl they imagined. There's also the issue with some not-so-nice girls who get insecure. I have a lot of followers on Facebook, and I often receive messages from guys who try to flirt with me. They tend to think of me as a flat, one-dimensional character, but I'm a real person. I'm a woman with my own imperfections, feelings, and expectations. Being attractive doesn't mean I'm content just hanging out at home instead of going on real dates. And yes, I have opinions, even though I'm pretty. And there's something else I've noticed from all the crime documentaries I've watched. An attractive woman seems more likely to attract unwanted attention, like from a stalker, an upset crush, or an ex-partner. But what they don't often mention is that this kind of attention can also come from other women. Yeah, it's scary how other people can do bad things when they feel too insecure. Just take Selena Quintanilla's tragedy as an example. Story 2. Since I was young, people have often told me I'm very pretty. But being called pretty hasn't always been good, especially where I grew up, where people are usually more reserved. Sometimes I got the wrong kind of attention, which wasn't nice at all. Many people think I'm not nice before they really know me, just because of how I look. In my life, I've had boyfriends and even a husband who liked being with me because they thought it made them look good. They liked that I was like a prize. It made me feel like they didn't really love me for who I am. This made me feel sad about myself. Most of my boyfriends got really worried or upset thinking about other people liking me too. This made a relationship difficult. They either felt they weren't good enough or they got too upset. I don't like getting too much attention. I try really hard to stay away from it. I don't feel comfortable when people say nice things about how I look. I just wish they would talk about something else. I've also lost friends because they didn't like how much boys noticed me. Story 3. Sometimes it feels like people only care about how you look and not who you really are inside. It's like if you show your real feelings or act differently from what they expect, they get surprised or confused. People often make guesses about others. I know people think I'm good looking and sometimes that's nice, but it can also be hard. When people who are close to me see the real parts of my life, they sometimes treat me like just a friend to have fun with, not a true friend. Some guys might think that's great, but it's actually not as good as it sounds. Even though I don't usually have trouble making friends, I've had some girls tell me that I'm not someone they'd want to date seriously. I understand what they mean, but hearing it a lot can be frustrating, and it doesn't feel right after a while. Story 4. People sometimes don't talk to me or get really nervous around me. They think I look too good and that I'm out of their league. It's strange. Everyone keeps saying that any girl would be happy to be my friend and that I could be friends with anyone I want. Even some of my friends who are girls have told me this. But when it comes down to it, no one really comes up to talk to me. It's funny in a way. Also, when I try to talk to girls, they often get scared or think I'm just trying to be more than friends. I'm also really shy and quiet, so talking to people is already hard for me. There's something else too. When I go to places like bars or clubs where there are a lot of people, sometimes they touch me in ways they shouldn't, like grabbing or pinching. When I was younger, I thought it was cool, but now it doesn't feel good at all. And a lot of times, I feel really lonely. Man, being attractive sure is tough. Incels would probably have a meltdown if they heard this. Story 5. Sometimes it's tough for me to befriend girls who think they're not as pretty as me. It's like there's an invisible wall that stops us from being friends. But girls who think they're prettier can act weird around me too. It's like they think we're in some sort of silent competition. It feels really lonely. I'm also really careful around my guy friends who have girlfriends. I don't want their girlfriends to worry about me being around. I find it easier to talk to guys, but then I worry that I might give them the wrong idea. I don't want to assume things about them, but it's hard to know what to do. Also, I'd love to dress up and wear cool makeup for work or when I'm going out like famous people, but then I worry I'll look like I'm showing off or acting like I'm better than others. I enjoy dressing up, but I wear regular clothes so I don't feel too self-conscious while I'm out. Story 6. People approach me wanting to be just FWBs instead of a real girlfriend. Like this one time I had a fun night chatting with a guy at a friend's party. I thought he might ask me on a date, but instead, he asked if I wanted to sleep with him and another friend, which wasn't what I expected. When I dress up for a night out in fancy clothes, I notice people look at me differently. If I wear tight clothes, I get a lot of attention. But if I wear a long, flowy dress, people think I look like I'm going to have a baby. One bizarre thing someone asked me was if I was a lesbian because they thought I had a big fake chest. That was so weird. First, why would that mean someone is a lesbian? Second, my chest is real. And third, why would they even ask that? It was just so strange. Story 7. I think I look strong because I played sports and lifted weights for over 10 years. I work at a gym, so it's easy for me to exercise there. I also make sure to eat enough healthy food and get 8 to 9 hours of sleep each night. I've worked really hard to be this fit, but sometimes people don't believe it's all from my hard work. They think I must be taking some special medicine or something to look this way. They don't always believe me when I tell them I don't. It's like they can't imagine someone getting really fit without taking something. It feels like they don't see all my hard work and think I've found an easy way instead. Some people also think I might not be very smart or that I only think about myself just because of how I look. But when we talk for a while, they usually see that's not true. Story 8. It's tough for me to make friends because people often feel a bit scared around me. All of my boyfriends or girlfriends, even the one I'm with now, often say, "I can't believe I'm dating you." I'm just something bad about themselves, and it makes me really sad to hear that. I don't like it when someone I care about thinks they're not good enough for me. Sometimes they even try to make me feel bad about myself so that I won't leave them. That's not a nice thing to do. Also, some people think I'm not smart, but I actually get really good grades. I've also had straight A's in school, and I'm now in college studying philosophy, so I usually surprise them. But I've been picked on a lot in my life, making me feel bad about myself. I've had to deal with a lot of mental health issues because of it. Sometimes I wish I wasn't so tall. I'm 6'1", skinny, and what people call pretty. Maybe things would be easier then. Dude, this girl needs to be careful of what she wishes for. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Story 9. People often look at me but don't talk to me. Sometimes just because I look like what people think a handsome guy should look like, they think I'm either too full of myself or not very nice. I've been shy and nervous around people for most of my life, but sometimes people think that means I'm stuck up or that I think I'm better than them. I don't show my feelings much because I'm scared of talking to people, not because I think I'm above them. And I've spent a lot of time thinking I'm not good looking at all. Just because someone looks attractive doesn't mean they're always confident. Story 10. People sometimes think I'm always full of myself or not very nice, just because of how I look. Because of this, they don't usually start talking to me. I'm often the one who also has to begin conversations. There's also this strange thing that happens with people I don't know. They think it's okay to say not so nice things about how I look in a sneaky way. Some of my friends have told me that when they first met me, they thought I would be a mean girl. It's funny how people make guesses like that just based on someone's looks. Story 11. Me just walking through the neighborhoods and thinking about stuff. People driving in cars. Honk. I really don't like it. It scares me every time, and I feel like most people do it just to startle me. Wearing earbuds and listening to some cool music helps block out some of the noise, so it's not so shocking, but it's still annoying when it happens. Story 12. I remember when I lost a lot of weight, about 100 pounds a few years ago, I noticed that many people started treating me differently. Those who used to just glance at me from far away and I wanted to chat and be my friend. It made me feel a bit upset because I was still the same person inside, but when I was heavier, some of them weren't nice about my personality. I had a special operation to help me lose weight, so sometimes it feels like I took a shortcut. It's a bit like feeling guilty for being lucky. What I want to say to people who are still struggling with their weight is, yes, you're right if you think people treat you differently. The world is nicer to me now that I'm not known as the heavy guy. It's not fair, and it makes me sad because I'm getting treated better for it. You deserve to be treated well no matter what, and it's not right that it doesn't always happen. Preach, man. People tend to be nicer to attractive people. That's why thirst traps have a huge following in social media. Do you believe that good-looking people also have a bad day? Comment below with your thoughts. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Story 13. Being a woman often means not being taken seriously, especially around men. People sometimes think that just having a friendly chat means more than it does. I often dress very casually so that I get less attention. It means I'm bothered less when I'm out, like in parking lots, and I don't even think that I'm that good looking. Then there's getting older. The things that felt like perks when I was younger and seen as more attractive don't happen the same way anymore. It's like these things become part of who you are. When they start to fade, it can feel like you're losing a piece of yourself. I'm slowly getting used to this change, but it's tough. For me, it's not so much about missing those perks. It's more about missing the confidence I had. I used to feel good wearing anything I liked without second-guessing if it looked bad. Now, I worry more about these things, but I'm trying to deal with it. Story 14. People often think I'm not smart. I studied biology and got really good grades, better than a lot of my classmates. But even then, some of them, who I was outperforming, would offer to help me as if I needed it. I've even had strangers tell me that I can't be pretty, nice, and smart all at the same time. This kind of assumption has made me less interested in talking to people. And then there's the issue of being treated as an object. Sometimes people will stop talking to me or even get mean if they don't get what they want from me. This isn't just about romantic stuff, though that happens a lot too. Story 15. When I feel down and actually tell someone, which is hard, it's tough when people don't take it seriously. They can't see why I'd be unhappy because they think looking good means having a perfect life. Being bothered in public is another issue. I'm not super good looking, but since I lost weight and started fitting more into what people think is attractive, the amount of attention I get has really increased. I've had people follow me around in stores. I've been touched by strangers without my permission while just going about my day. People have yelled at me in the street. It can be pretty scary. Then there's loneliness. People think if you're good looking, you must have lots of friends and a fun life. But the truth is, a lot of people are too nervous or shy to talk to you. So you end up only meeting other good-looking people who enjoy being seen as the attractive ones. They can be pretty unpleasant. The sad thing is, I wasn't always seen as attractive. I lost a lot of weight and started working out a lot, and suddenly I was treated differently. But instead of being ignored because I was overweight, now I'm avoided because I'm intimidating. People tell me they don't know how to talk to someone who looks good. Story 16. I've been in several relationships where my partners weren't honest about their feelings, what they really wanted, or times when I upset them. They seemed more focused on keeping their relationship going rather than actually enjoying it, so they would say whatever they thought might make me stay. There have also been people who pretend they wanted a relationship, but they were really only interested in being intimate with me, even though I'm okay with just having fun together. Because of these experiences, I find it hard to trust people. Being in a relationship is tough, man. Some people lie, cheat, or take you for granted, but at least you learn to spot red flags. Story 17. I wouldn't call myself a supermodel, but I definitely went through an ugly duckling phase. Being on both sides of the spectrum, what surprised me, especially as a female, was that more people, mostly other girls, seemed to dislike me when I looked better than when I didn't. Before, people could be mean, but it was usually just occasional rudeness. However, after my transformation, it turned into active, obvious dislike or bullying almost every day. The mean behavior wasn't just from the girls who were already not so nice, often the popular ones, but also from many who used to be friends or in the same social circle. Even girls who didn't seem to notice me before suddenly had a negative reaction, which was strange. Story 18. The looks I get from other women can be really tough. They often give me unfriendly glances and don't act very nice. It's upsetting. I remember going to a formal work event with my fiancé. Many women there, around my age, were known to him as really friendly colleagues, but not one of them talked to me for the first part of the evening. Once I went to the restrooms and overheard 3 of them in there. They were talking about me, my looks, questioning my smarts and my relationship with my fiancé, suggesting he was only with me because of my appearance. They even commented on my hairstyle, saying it made me less attractive. When I stepped out of the stall and they saw me, they went quiet. I just smiled, washed my hands, and left. Later, when they rejoined the group, they were super nice to me, asking about my job and our wedding plans. The next day, I told my fiancé about it, and he was really shocked. Story 19. I'm what you might call reasonably attractive. A few years back, my friends and I volunteered at a huge haunted house around Halloween. This place was big. It took at least an hour to walk through, and people came from all over. Tickets were always in high demand. One night, my job was to jump out of a picture frame to scare people as they passed. It's a simple trick, but it works. Sometimes when the line got backed up around my spot, I'd chat with the visitors, staying in character, of course. I was talking to a group once, and one of the girls just glared at me like I'd done something wrong. Out of nowhere, she said in a really snotty tone, "You're, really pretty." Caught off guard, I just replied, "Compliments don't pay the bills," and ducked back into my picture frame. It's funny when I think about it, but I still can't decide if that was the nicest insult or the meanest compliment I've ever gotten. Story 20. What some people think is attractive can differ from other people's preferences. For example, I have a friend who I think is not very good looking, but his girlfriend, who is super pretty, thinks he's handsome. She likes the things about him that I don't. He even had another girlfriend who was also very pretty, and he decided they should stop dating. I think he looks like Napoleon Dynamite, a character from a movie, but it looks like I'm the only one who thinks that. What I'm trying to say is, even if you don't think you look good, someone else might think you're perfect just the way you are. What you don't like about yourself might be what someone else loves the most. So don't be too hard on yourself. Just because you don't think you're good looking doesn't mean others think the same. And when you're attractive, people might think you're trying to flirt with them even if you're just being friendly and joking around. It's kind of funny how that happens. Yeah, beauty is a double-edged sword. Having Channing Tatum's looks can be good, but it can also lead to unwanted attention. Story 21. I'm not overly confident, but I'm attractive enough to get stares just walking through a public space. It feels like there are always eyes on me, making me wonder, is there something on my face? It's awkward, especially with uncomfortable encounters at places like gas stations or with women giving unfriendly looks as if it's some sort of contest. I just wish to be left alone. I wouldn't say I'm extremely attractive, but I do feel good about my appearance. Yet whenever people are considered attractive talk about their insecurities, others often dismiss their feelings. They think just because these people fit the current beauty standards and are desired by many, their insecurities don't matter. But there's a big difference between feeling beautiful and looking beautiful. Also, beauty standards are different for everyone. Story 22. People often think that if you're good looking, everyone must like you and you're popular. But that's not my experience. I've been single my whole life and still untouched. Many of my friends who don't see themselves as attractive have already been in relationships, kissed, or been intimate with guys. Yet they talk about feeling alone and unattractive, assuming I must have many people interested in dating me. But that's not the case. I find it really hard to be close to someone. People mistakenly think I date around a lot, but that's far from true. I also feel a lot of pressure to always look my best. If I have a bad hair day, a breakout, or don't like my clothes, I get really worried. Some might think I have issues with eating because I avoid certain foods that make me feel bloated. When I look in the mirror, I often feel like I look much bigger than I actually am. I also feel a lot of pressure to exercise regularly. Sometimes I wish I could just relax and have a beer with my friends without worrying so much. Story 23. My experiences, including some difficult ones related to being violated, might be a factor, but I often feel pressure to be perfectly attractive to everyone. Even small things like gaining a little weight, being over 30 years old, or not reaching a certain height can make you feel really insecure. You start to worry that no one will like you, that you're somehow less worthy, and everything about you seems embarrassing or not good enough unless you meet certain attractiveness standards. Men often show interest, while women might not be as friendly. People whistle or call out to me on the street, but rarely engage in meaningful conversation. Then in some places, the least appealing guys come on strong. People make snap judgments based on looks, assuming that if you're good looking, you must be not smart or assertive. I've heard all sorts of comments. Dang, that sucks. I guess everyone, whether they be pretty or not, gets their fair share of dirtbags who ruin their day. Story 24. People who are jealous often try to make others dislike me by telling lies. Also, some guys try to act tougher or more impressive than me, especially when girls are around. It's pretty silly. I remember dating a girl who got upset when I complimented her sister. It was just a nice comment, nothing inappropriate. It was her own sister. But it was a good lesson for me. You can be minding your own business, just doing your thing, and still, people might get upset with you. Story 25. Compared to the time when I wasn't as good looking, being attractive is cool for romance and stuff, but it can be kind of annoying in regular life. Now it's like everyone wants to chat with me and make conversation super long. It's tricky to figure out how to let people down who are clearly interested in me when I'm not feeling the same way. Other guys sometimes throw in little comments to tease me, especially when girls are around. However, I still like this way more than not being attractive. Now, people are interested in what I say, laugh at my jokes, enjoy having me around, trust and support me much more than they used to before I had some changes done and hit the gym like crazy. I still enjoy just strolling down the street and nice girls will make eye contact, give a smile, and say hi instead of pretending I'm not there. Yeah, society can be pretty messed up sometimes. It's crazy that some people had to change their appearance just to feel accepted. If you want to hear more good stories, then check out What's the Most Holy Thing the Quiet Kid Said or Did? Story 3 is shocking. See you there.